Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeddin. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And today we're going to be talking about Aiden Markram's press conference. Now we have uploaded the press conference to the channel, so you guys can go ahead and go check that out. It's in the South Africa versus Pakistan playlist on this particular channel. So go check that one out. He gives some excellent insight into what he's thinking ahead of the ODI series, of course, and him as a player. Now we have some clips that we're going to play for you on this channel as well. I'm going to bring on Aditya onto the show because he was in the press conference and he asked a question, and I'm also going to play his question that he asked as well as the last segment of the show. But before we get going, don't forget to obviously, if you're not subscribed and you are watching these videos, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. So let's get into it. Aiden Markram obviously giving his press conference. It's a long time since he's been in the ODI setup or in Whiteboard setup for South Africa. So it was nice to see him in a press conference, and those are majority of the questions that were asked in general. They were talking about his batting position, they were talking about the captains and him as a leader, and there was also a very special question, like I said, from Aditya as well. But let me bring Aditya onto the show. Welcome to the show, buddy. Great to see you. What do you think of the Aiden Markram press conference as a whole?
Well, any press conference with Aiden Markram, we know he's an articulate man, and he's quite forthright with the answers that he gives. But generally, a lot of the questions revolved around themes that we've been discussing quite frequently on this channel as well, such as Temba's captaincy, his potential as a captain, his role in the batting order, and the style of cricket that South Africa plan to play. I think these are questions that we've had throughout the season, and he proceeded to answer them because now we have an indication of who our leader is going to be for the next 2.5 years, and so I think that puts that question to rest. But now it's about how he is as captain and the sort of cricket that Temba wants South Africa to play. So I think overall, it was a great press conference, and he answered a lot of the questions that we've been chatting about on the show.
So I'm going to go into those segments straight away. I think that's what you guys are coming here for, so we can analyze each individual segment. Let's start with the batting positions. This is what Aiden had to say about batting positions.
We still, I think, almost fortunate enough to very much experiment still. I think 2023 is still a while away. The few discussions that I have had with the coach and with Temba has been to try to be quite versatile. So I'd probably see it anywhere in the top 4. I think naturally I'm comfortable anywhere in the top 4. Probably more comfortable up top for the time being. I'd still like to get to know numbers 3 and 4 a little bit more, but certainly something that I'm open to doing. I think ultimately as a player, you're almost just happy to take whatever spot you can get in the team. So that's sort of been the discussions since I've rejoined the squad, and hopefully if there's a gap somewhere, we can take it and ideally put big runs on the board for the team.
I see the similar little posters or paintings on the wall, like the last time when Rassie was around, etc. So they're probably staying at the same hotel. That's interesting what he's saying over there with regards to the batting position, saying that they want him to be a little bit more versatile, take the spots where they feel he needs to take. I mean, it sounds like he wants to open the batting. That's how it sounds when he was talking. I mean, a lot of our fans are talking about maybe in batting 4. I can see Ashit saying the over here that he doesn't understand why they want him as 4 if he's a specialist opener, which is kind of true, I think, because if he is that good at opening the batting, then why not? Why not open the batting for South Africa as well in the ODI setup? So what are your thoughts about what he said to say about his batting position? Do you see him as being that versatile type of top order batsman for South Africa?
Look, first off, we have to remember that he hasn't played a lot of white ball cricket for South Africa. So even though he's been on the scene for quite a while, he's relatively inexperienced with respect to white ball cricket, and we need to respect that. On the other hand, we also need to see whether Temba is a more aggressive option at 4 or Hayden is, because the definition of what a number 4 batsman does now has changed in ODI cricket, and it can't be that individual who just consolidates and is batting at 5 runs at home until the 40th over. I think that those days are gone now. So if Aiden is that guy who after sort of getting set for a couple of overs can then launch, and his strike rate is better than Temba's, then he's the guy who needs to be there at 4. But in saying that, if he's indicated that his preference is up the order, then that's a conversation between him and Temba, because we know that Quinton is going to be an opener. So then it's between Temba and Aiden to decide who's going to take that opener spot.
Yeah, so that's something that needs to be spoken about, of course. It's something that I feel we will see if we get to see more of Aiden Markram in Whiteboard Cricket, if he can come in and fire immediately. Like you have asked in your question, and that's the last question that we will chat about, because it was a very good question, Aditya. I was smiling when I heard the question being asked. But let's just go on to the next part, and this is something about the captains. Obviously, they're going to ask him about the captaincy, because he is obviously captain of the ODI side. A lot of people before, and a lot of people wanted Aiden as the next generation captain. They want him in all formats actually as captain, mostly Test cricket and in ODI cricket. But this is what he had to say about Temba as captain, and then we'll go straight into the next clip, which is comparing Temba versus Quinny as a captain.
Look, I think first and foremost, you congratulate them on their appointments. I said it in the past couple of weeks as well, that they certainly extremely deserving of their positions that they've got, and certainly are the right people for the job as well. So it's been amazing to see Temba operate so far this week. The amount of respect that guys have for him in this environment is seriously on another level, and I think it makes leading from his side a lot easier because of that. So extremely happy for them, and certainly guys that not just myself but the whole Proteas environment, one, back, and two, respect, and are certainly very easy to follow in terms of their whatever they basically say. I know that the team will be happy to follow and to buy in. It's actually quite hard to say, because I don't think I played too much under Quinny, but knowing the character Quinny is, he's obviously got a great cricket brain, and he sees the game extremely well from behind the stumps. But I think Temba, maybe where you might vary would be in terms of being a little bit more rigid, doing a lot of planning before a game, so that when we're in the game, he's got options to fall back on, where I think Quinny's quite a free-spirited person, and therefore quite a free-spirited captain, and was able to develop plans on the field as they go. Not saying Temba can't do that, but yeah, his preparation from a captaincy perspective might be a bit different to Quinny's. But yeah, something that's exciting. Temba's obviously done very well for the Lions from a captaincy point of view in Whiteboard Cricket, and won trophies with them. And that obviously speaks volumes about his ability to lead well and captain a side well.
That is very interesting. I think that really stands out to me, and I needed to bring that out. First and foremost, the respect that Temba has. I think that was something that you headlined with for our particular article or the article that you wrote on the press conference. And it's something that I really thought we need to be taken out and signaled out, because the respect that the dressing room has for him, I know the respect the coaches have for him as well. Those are all things that are very important. But then I listened to Aiden and I'm like, but you're talking like a true captain. So like at the same time, I'm listening to Aiden speak and I'm like, wow, you sound like a captain, but you're talking about another captain. So it's just excellent to be able to have so many people in the side that can do those things, that can lead. I mean, you can lead. You don't have to be the captain to lead in the team, of course. There's other ways you can lead in sides. And you've seen that in all types of sports, where it's not always only the captain that leads. When he talks about Temba's type of captaincy, which I think we really need to speak about over here, the rigidness that he spoke about, the preparation that Temba does before matches, knowing that he has fallback plans within matches, so that if something goes south, he knows what to fall back on. Compared to Quinny, and I didn't expect him to actually say that Quinny's a free spirit. We know it. We've heard it. We've thought it. But for him to actually say it in a press conference was quite a bold move from Aiden. To hear that actually, just to hear that's how Quinton actually changes according to the game, which is something that a lot of people actually favor in a captain. They want a captain to be able to do that. So that's kind of two extremes, you know. You kind of want someone that is in the middle, that's between both, that has rigid plans, but also changes things as things go along on the field. Hopefully, Temba can do that. According to Aiden, he says that it's not that Aiden is. It's not like Temba isn't a person that can change things on the field. So hopefully, we will see that from Temba. I'm very excited to see what Temba is like a leader, what he is like as a leader for the Proteas, because I've seen him for the Lions and do that. I've seen him change things up and try new things for the Lions. So very brave, but it looks like there was a lot of thought processes when he makes his brave decisions, which is also good to have a guy that actually thinks about things before he acts. Your thoughts on that?
Well, two things. One was a leader in the team, Aiden Markram, really indicating how much respect the team really has for Temba. And quite frankly, I think that should put to rest any debate that the public might have. Because, with Temba, there's always been sort of a divided reaction, right? Because of perhaps his performances in cricket and so on, and then on the other hand, his potential. So I think that should put to rest any questions that the public might have about Temba, and just really get a sense of the sort of respect that he commands in the dressing room. So secondly, I think from what Aiden was saying, Temba he's a very South African captain. The sort of individual who likes information, who likes planning. And Faf was a similar guy as well, but I think Faf had that spontaneity in him, where he could make decisions on the field. And from what Aiden was saying, that's also the sort of personality that Temba is. Quinton de Kock, on the other hand, and it's a praiseworthy attribute, that he can read the game well, and he sort of makes his plans on the field. And that sort of captaincy works. But you look at MS Dhoni, in my view, like probably the best captain we've ever had in India, who is exactly that sort of captain, and that's exactly how he continues to lead the Chennai Super Kings. Everyone in that team will tell you that no meeting lasts for more than 2 minutes. So that has its merits, but to each their own. I think every team has its own sort of DNA, and they operate better in certain ways. Like I think Indian teams of the past have responded well to that sort of on-the-field planning that MS Dhoni provided, but perhaps South African teams respond better to planning, to having that sense of knowing what's going to happen in the next 5 overs or so. So I think that was, fantastic comparison of captaincy styles.
Yeah, and also when you are a type of captain like Temba is that plans beforehand, etc., it shows that the team trusts you as a captain. It shows, because for them to trust you to go and do your own planning and bringing that to the changing room, you can only plan for things and have rigid approaches if your team and your people in your dressing room respect you and trust you. So that's obviously coming clear. What I want to see now is, because obviously I've never gotten a chance to be in a press conference when Temba was a captain of an ODI team or South African team, of course. When Faf walked through into a dressing room, or he walks into a room, everybody's heads turn, man. Like, you know what I mean? You just get this aura when he sat down in a press conference room. You just had this feeling like you root for him. It was just like that. It was just in the air. And I hope that Temba can bring something like that too. Thanks a lot for the super chat text. Aditya and Khalid, I hear a lot of people say that South Africa is going to be the next West Indies or Zimbabwe. What do you want to say to those people? I want to say to those people that they need to just hold on. There's too much talent in this country. There's too many talented cricketers for you to compare us to that necessarily. I know what you mean about the next West Indies or Zimbabwe, and I know what you're trying to say. I think that South Africa is just currently in a cycle, and we'll get through that cycle of finding our next generation of superstars. So I don't think that that's what happened. It's not like we're very far off in all the rankings with regards to being a top team. We just need to find that chemistry within the squad and find a consistent team that we can put in, week out. Aditya, what's your thoughts on that?
First off, thanks, Dex, for your question. Absolutely agree with you, Khalid. There's too much talent in South Africa. But what's also encouraging to see is that there are steps that have been taken, such as the new 15-team structure that is likely to sort of expedite that process and bridge the gulf between domestic and international cricket. So South Africa is in the right direction. I know it's not often nice to hear about a lot of the turmoil going on in the administration, but in saying that, things will get better. I think there are some very good people in Cricket South Africa, and there's a lot to be hopeful for.
And lastly, it's Aditya's question, the one about the style of play, attacking the ball from ball one. Obviously, he made comparisons, but I played his question as well. Only Aditya's question I played because he's from Cricket Fanatics magazine.
So recently concluded India versus England series where even 340 was pretty easily chased. Do you think that attacking brand of cricket where players go hard from ball one might be something that this young Proteas team might consider?
Yeah, it's certainly. I mean, if you look at India and England, they're probably your two best ODI teams in the world, or two of the best in the world. So their brand of cricket and the way they're going about their business is certainly a way that works, and is a way that is what needs to be done in order to be up there with the best in the world. So it's certainly a brand of cricket that we've looked into and discussed this week so far. A lot of things can change that in terms of conditions and things like that. But generally, in the high field where we're going to play this series now, it is normally quite good to bat. So a positive approach and a brave approach is certainly things that we have spoken about. It's slightly different for our players, but I think it's more just from a mental side of things. I think everyone has the ability to be able to walk in and score freely from ball one. So it's going to be a work in progress, and it might take a bit of time from the Proteas side of things, but it's certainly discussions that we have had building up to the series so far.
Interesting that he's actually looked at it and he's saying that he will try it, that they will be looking at that type of attacking brand of cricket. Aditya, just give us some insight into why you asked that question.
Yeah, look, if we go around the world, seeing how ODI cricket has changed, particularly since 2015, and new rule changes with respect to the power play and 2 new balls and so on. So, it generally styles of cricket have tended to be a bit more aggressive, and it's kind enough to say that India and England are among the 2 best ODI teams in the world, but India, until very recently, was criticized for having a more conservative approach, even though they had a pretty successful win-loss ratio. But then Virat Kohli, pre-T20 series, said that he wanted a more explosive style of batting. So it does appear as if teams are sort of veering in that direction, and part of the reason that I asked that question was to get a sense of mindset. On the show yesterday, I said to you that when India were 157 for 4 in that last ODI, Rishabh Pant and Hardik Pandya went at 10 runs and over. And there was a bit of a wobble towards the end, and we finished at 329. But in the post-innings interview, when Hardik Pandya was talking about the innings, despite being 157 for 4 in the 25th over, and the way that Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant went, the 2 of them were not thinking about getting to 330. They said they were disappointed that they got out because they were trying to get to 390. So, that mindset is insane, where, at the halfway stage, you may be in a precarious position, but you're not worried about, worried about consolidating. You're thinking about, where can I take this innings? So that it was more about understanding that mindset, and it was quite encouraging to see from Aiden that they actually talked about it, and they might consider it. It's the direction that they were sort of walking towards.
Yeah, because I mean that's the problem with South Africa. I hope they don't pick too many anchors in their teams. You got Rassie, you've got Riza, you've got so many guys that are similar to Temba, so many guys that are similarly inclined with their approach. So you also need the right players to be able to play that brand of cricket. That's also important, and that we need to know that and understand that you can't force a brand of cricket on players. It depends on what type of players you have. When you have depth like England and India, you can pick and choose players according to the style of cricket you want to play. So that's the type of thing that we need to be able to do. We need to find that squad so that we can adapt our game according to who we're playing against as well. So that's very important with regards to that. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show once again and going to the press conference. We will be having more press conferences tomorrow again. I think Mark Boucher will be in the press conference tomorrow. So that is obviously before the first game, which starts on Friday. So we're very excited about this. We'll obviously bring you guys preview show. Probably let's do that tomorrow, I think, let's do it. We're going to be doing the preview show tomorrow, so it will be a combined effort of what our teacher learned from the Mark Boucher press conference, as well as a little preview about who we'd like to see start in that particular game. And then we'll do our review show, of course, after the game. As soon as the game is done, we'll do a review show of the game as well. And Aditya most likely maybe be going to the press conference if he's available. We'll see if that is going to happen, etc. after the game. But yeah, a lot of games coming thick and fast, a lot of content coming to your way thick and fast. So guys, get subscribing to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos, smash that like button, etc. It's nearing the end of the month and we're busy working on our next issue of the magazine. So please go ahead and download the latest issue of the magazine. Link is on the screen and in the description. That's my only call to action for today. The link, you'll see the link in the description below. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Thanks a lot to Aditya for coming on the show. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow with a preview show. Take care, everyone.